This morning you woke up mid-flight. You were falling, or flying, or running from someone whose face kept changing. And then your alarm went off. By the time you reached for your phone, most of it was already gone. 10 minutes later, you couldn't tell anyone what happened in that dream, even though 10 minutes ago it felt more real than your bedroom. Why does your brain do that? Why does it build entire worlds every single night, then set them on fire the moment you wake up? The answer isn't really about dreams. It's about what your brain considers worth keeping. Every night, your brain cycles through several stages of sleep. Somewhere between 90 and 110 minutes into the cycle, you enter REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement because your eyes actually dart back and forth underneath closed lids. This is the stage where most vivid dreaming happens. Your muscles go slack. Your brainstem sends signals up through regions tied to vision, memory, and emotion. And your cortex, the part of your brain responsible for reasoning and storytelling, starts stitching together a narrative out of the noise. That's the strange part. The dream isn't pre-recorded. It's improvised, in real time, every single night. The psychiatrist J. Allen Hobson spent decades studying what happens inside a dreaming brain, and he proposed something called activation synthesis theory. The idea is simple, even if the mechanism isn't. During REM sleep, your brainstem fires off essentially random electrical signals. Your cortex, which hates randomness, tries to make sense of it. It grabs fragments of memory, emotion, and sensory data and forces them into something resembling a story. That's your dream. Not a message, not a hidden warning. A best-effort narrative, built from noise, assembled by the most pattern-hungry organ you own. So if dreams are just your brain trying to make sense of static, why do some of them feel so emotionally real? Because the parts of your brain generating dreams aren't randomly chosen. They're specific. The amygdala, which processes fear and emotional intensity, becomes highly active during REM sleep. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logic, planning, and self-control, goes quiet. That's why you can be chased by a dragon through your childhood school and never once think, "Wait, this doesn't make sense." Your rational brain is offline. Your emotional brain is wide awake. You're not confused inside the dream. You're just there. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If dreaming happens in such a vivid, emotionally charged part of the brain, why does it vanish so fast? Dream researcher Antonio Zadra, who has spent years studying dream recall at the University of Montreal, has pointed to something crucial. Memory formation requires specific neurochemical conditions, and during REM sleep, those conditions are mostly missing. One of the key ingredients for laying down long-term memories is a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. It helps tag experiences as important enough to keep. But norepinephrine levels drop dramatically during REM sleep. Your brain is essentially living an entire experience without turning on the recorder. Think about that. You're not forgetting your dream. Your brain often never fully recorded it in the first place. This is different from how memory works when you're awake. When something happens to you during the day, your hippocampus, the brain's memory hub, works with your prefrontal cortex to encode the event and store it for later. But during REM sleep, that partnership breaks down. The hippocampus is active. The prefrontal cortex isn't. It's like trying to write a book with someone who keeps skipping every other page. So why remember any dreams at all? Why do some mornings hand you a vivid, detailed memory of falling through the ocean, while other mornings hand you nothing? Timing matters more than people think. If you wake up directly out of REM sleep, you're far more likely to remember what just happened. Your brain hasn't transitioned into the next stage yet, so the dream is still sitting there, fresh, before the usual forgetting process kicks in. That's why naps, restless nights, or mornings when your alarm cuts you off mid-cycle often produce the most vivid dream memories. You're catching your brain in the act. But there's something even stranger happening here. Sleep researcher Robert Stickgold, who studies memory and sleep at Harvard Medical School, has spent years exploring what your brain is actually doing while you dream. His research suggests that sleep, especially REM sleep, plays an active role in consolidating memories from your day. Your brain isn't just resting, it's sorting. It takes fragments of what you experienced, strips away unnecessary detail, and files the emotional core of it away for long-term storage. Dreaming may be a side effect of that filing process. The strange visuals, the impossible physics, the melting faces, all of that might just be the exhaust from a much more important job happening underneath. Which means your dreams may not be nonsense at all. They might be the visible residue of your brain quietly deciding what matters and what doesn't. So every night, your brain is running two systems at once. One is building a vivid, emotional, occasionally terrifying story out of raw neural noise. The other is deciding, quietly, what pieces of your actual life are worth carrying forward. And you were never meant to remember most of it. If your brain held on to every dream with the same clarity as your waking memories, you'd wake up each morning dragging an entire second life behind you. A life with no coherent timeline, no reliable logic, and no way to separate it from the one you actually lived. Forgetting your dreams isn't a flaw in your memory. It's a filter protecting it. There's an evolutionary angle here too. Some researchers believe dreaming may have served an ancient survival function, letting the brain rehearse threats and emotional scenarios in a low-risk environment. Running from something dangerous in a dream may have helped early humans process fear responses without facing real danger. If that's true, the experience of dreaming mattered far more than the memory of it. Your ancestors didn't need to remember the dream where they escaped a predator. They just needed their brain to practice the response. That reframes the entire question. You've probably spent your whole life treating forgotten dreams as a small failure, a memory that slipped through your fingers before you could grab it. But what if it was never yours to keep? What if the dream did its job the moment it happened, whether or not you remembered a single frame of it? Consider what this means the next time you wake up mid-scene, heart pounding, certain you'll remember every detail. You won't. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your brain already used what it needed. The emotional charge got filed away. The narrative debris got cleared out. What felt like the most vivid experience of your night was, biologically speaking, never designed to last past sunrise. Modern life has made this feel like a loss. We live in a culture obsessed with capturing everything: photos, notes, screen recordings, journals. So a nightly experience that resists being captured at all feels almost rebellious. You cannot screenshot a dream. You cannot rewind it. For a few hours each night, your brain generates something entirely for itself, unrecorded, unrepeatable, and then lets it go. Maybe that's not a malfunction. Maybe that's the point. This morning you woke up mid-flight, and by the time your feet hit the floor, that entire world was already gone. But somewhere underneath that forgetting, your brain had already done its work. It sorted, it filtered, it filed away whatever mattered from the day before. The story disappeared. The signal stayed.